Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, and anybody that is watching. Today we are AussieVerse, and we are here to present you just a sort of deep dive into the DC Comics universe this year. And I'm here joined by my co-host Ryan. How you doing,
Happy
Ryan?
to be here.
Good. And don't forget to like and subscribe this video. And 400 sub giveaway, we're going to be giving a $100 gift voucher from Amazon. So make sure you get in the running for that, guys. And don't forget to go follow us on Instagram. So we will be AussieVerse _ there we go, Aussie Comics and Collectors. And then all our graphic design and all our wonderful sort of is brought to you on Instagram. Go follow her. It's A51_designs. Really good stuff there. And and that's it at the moment. And let's get off to the show. Ryan, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm excited to discuss DC Comics. I never get to do that enough.
Yeah, it's a very Marvel-driven universe at the moment, isn't it? So
yeah, everyone's all about Marvel. If I see a lot of DC books on a shelf, I can respect it.
Yeah, that's right. All right, we'll get started then, I guess. My first topic is going to be Dark Crises. So, what can you tell me about this, Ryan? What have you read up to it, and what are you expecting for this Dark Crises?
All right, so Dark Crisis, there's a few things that we had leading up to it. So it all really kicked off with Infinite Frontier #0 in 2021. That launched in March of 2021. And in there, it was written by Joshua Williamson. It was basically just a one-shot that went, okay, here's where the DC universe is at post Dark Knight's death metal. The Justice Society are back. The Legion are doing things. Darkseid is back in his classic costume, and it's all black. He's evil again. Darkseid killed people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is the hook of Infinite Frontier. Why Darkseid is back, he's being evil. Then later on, we find out, there's this thing called the Great Darkness, which diehard comic book fans would know. Legion of Superheroes. They really fight the Great Darkness in the future. There's a famous storyline called the Great Darkness Saga where they fight him. And there's one thing I got to admit, Williamson, he's good with his pulls, because I would have never picked that for a big crisis level villain.
Yeah, he knows his stuff, doesn't he? And he's pulled this Pariah out of nowhere as well. So
yeah, I've heard that in interviews he would always just ask, "So what's Pariah up to now?"
Yeah.
Is anyone doing anything with Pariah? If Pariah's not on the screen, why aren't people asking, "Where's Pariah?"
Exactly, and nobody's done anything with him since the 90s almost. So he wouldn't have got any answers.
No. And then even better, Williamson, he's kind of played with the things that no one has gotten to play with recently as well. Which he really did that in like Infinite Frontier 1 through 6 when he did the miniseries. Because he got to play with like the Justice Incarnate, which it's a very underutilized concept in DC Comics. Especially having our Barry Allen join the Justice Incarnate and then disappear.
A bit of a weird one. So what are you thinking, like, going ahead now? Do you like the concept? Like, obviously, there's no spoilers out there because there was an issue called Death of Justice League. So Justice League is dead. Are you excited? Because I read that Free Comic Book Day 1, and it made me realise a few things that did excite me. So what do you think?
I think that the DC universe has been in need of a shake-up for a bit, especially the Justice League in particular. Because there's only so many times where you can read the same Justice League team doing the same thing. Like, for the last, I'd say, 20 years or so, the team has just been Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, with the occasional throw-in of Cyborg for some reason.
and some other random character always too. Like Naomi's in there now, or was in there, and there's Hawkgirl in there sometimes, and yeah, it's. But yeah, I'm interested because when I read that the Free Comic Book Day one, the one thing that I was excited about is because I didn't even realise like you got all these major heavy hitters down now dead, and the one speaking at the eulogy was Nightwing, and now it looks like it's going to be based around Wally West. You know, they're best friends too, and I'm going, I like this. These are going to be the two like elder state people, aren't they? They're going to be running the show now. Like these are the two that are going to step up to leadership, and that excites me, to be honest. I kind of like them two together.
Wally West and Nightwing as well. They're two characters that were just dragged through the mud repeatedly throughout the years, particularly under the Dio's leadership, where you get stuff like Rick Grayson when he got shot in the head, and you get Wally West being a murderer, which Williamson thankfully went in and cleaned that up and went, no, Wally West didn't do that. It was Reverse Flash.
Yeah.
Fault.
I did it. He says at the end. Oh, yeah.
But if there's one thing that he does nail all the time, which I can get on board with, he understands what the DC universe is about. He understands that at its core, the most important thing is legacy.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's what all these characters are going to be, legacy. Because I like Jackson Hyde. I'm excited to see what he does when he steps up in this role. I know Williamson always mentions one of his favourite characters is Green Arrow. So who's going to step up in Green Arrow's shoes, do you think? Because I know he's a big Roy Harper fan. I don't think we'll see him, though, will we?
I think it'll be Connor Hawke.
That's what I thought, because he's in the Robin book and he's been writing him. Yeah.
Like, it took them forever to bring Connor Hawke back. So now that he's back, they might as well do something with him.
Pretty badass what Connor Hawke is, and like, yeah, he's got a good response out of the Robin book. So yeah, him and Damien sort of have a bit of a thing together, like a bit of a feud. So,
and you can just see that throughout all of his books, he's just building that Green Arrow book just in the background.
Well, I always, because I've listened to the same interview as you, and he's always talking about Green Arrow, and I always thought to myself, Williamson would be perfect to write a Green Arrow ongoing series. Like, I really want that because his style of writing for Green Arrow, I think, would build up this character again.
Green Arrow is a character that I feel like hasn't had a direction since Ben Percy left. Felt like Scott Snyder tried to set up one for him where he gave him this box, and then they never really addressed what was in that box.
Yeah. He was pissed off about it, though, wasn't he? Because it was basically something he didn't know what to use. Because Oliver Queen's not the sharpest character going around, so he didn't know what to use in that box. So, yeah, I really like the Percy run. Yeah, you're right. It's where do you go with him? Yeah, he's got the personality. He's got the side characters. Villains, you can create new villains, and yeah.
But if there is one thing I'm really excited about with Dark Crisis is that less Batman.
Yes, and we will get into that later on in the show. But, me too, to be honest, and that's what I mean. Like, I like the fact that this is going to be Wally and Dick Grayson sort of driven, and that's kind of nice. It's not Superman and Batman, which we've had for years now. So we'll move on to the next one. So we're going to talk. We've talked about him for a bit now. One of the writers. So we're going to talk current writers. So I know you've got very high hopes, and you like Williamson at the moment. So would you like to elaborate what you like about Williamson, or if there's another writer you would like at DC at the moment that you'd like to discuss?
I'll start with Williamson. Mm-hmm. Williamson right now is my favorite writer at DC because he tends to take these characters or concepts that have been broken by other writers and he just fixes them and puts them in a better spot than they were.
Yep.
when he leaves the book. So a really good example I'll use here. We'll use the Justice Society.
Yeah.
You've got this team of superheroes who were just missing from DC Comics for a good decade.
Yeah.
It took them till after Death Metal to finally go, okay, they're just back now. And then once they're back, Williamson's just like, okay, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to reestablish these relationships, why they're important. And now we're going to get a Jeff Johns book on the Justice Society.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, look, I like Williamson. I reckon he's been great. I did love that Flash. I think it had its ups and downs, like most runs. I mean, like if you do 100 issue series, there's going to be some ups and downs, but it started off really strong. One thing I've always liked about Williamson, because I'm reading his Rogues, which is the Black Label book, I really like how he does villains. Like it seems like he understands, as you said, he has an appreciation of older characters or characters that might not get light. I think he has a good way of bringing them to light and going, oh, that's why they were good back then and stuff like that. So that's what really interests me about Williamson. One of my favourite writers at DC at the moment is Ram V. People have seen this channel before. I'm a massive Swamp Thing fan, so I'm loving what he's doing there, and I'm pretty traditional with Swamp Thing, and he's done something pretty different, and I'm enjoying that. And I loved his end to Justice League Dark. Now I'm not sure if that was Tynion's script, but the way it ended, it was really good. So I don't know if that was Ram V or it was Tynion's script and Ram V just telling it. And I loved his run with Catwoman. It's now ended, but that at the time, which was last year, it was one of my favourite runs in DC, to be honest. And I just love the way he written Selena. It was really interesting. So yeah, he's new, and I know he's over at Marvel now doing Venom and Carnage, which I am getting Carnage. I'm not getting Venom, but I read the first trade. He's doing pretty good there too. So I think he's got talent.
Ram V does have a lot of talent. All I've really read of his is his Venom run, where he switches off with Al Ewing for storylines.
Yeah, he does the Ryan one, and Al Ewing does the Eddie Brock one.
The Eddie one, yep.
Yeah.
But he does have a really good handle on character work, I do have to admit.
Yep. Is there another writer or you want to mention, or?
He's doing a mini at the moment. He's also the writer of Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky.
Well, he's going to take over Batman. Are you looking forward to that?
Batman too. I'm keen to see what he'll do with Batman, because that's a character where you have all these legendary creators. It's just a baton being passed from one legendary creator to another, and he's going to take Batman and do something different with him, I can tell.
I would think so, because it's kind of like what he did with Daredevil to a point. Like Daredevil wasn't extremely different, but it was different. And they've got their similarities, don't they? So Daredevil kind of is the Batman of Marvel in some ways. But I'm looking forward to Chip Zdarsky. So 125, he takes over. I remember because I dropped off Batman because I was just exhausted by it by the end of Fear State. So when Williamson took over, nothing against Williamson, but I just going, I'll drop and keep Detective Comics. And because I knew the Tower was coming out, and that was once a week. And then that was a bit of a grind. But yeah.
I would not be able to do that. My wallet would just say no more.
Yeah, well, that's what, as we're going to discuss later on, it was just a bit too much Batman, so I had to drop one, and I was liking Detective Comics better at the time. So, yeah.
Did you want to talk about Mariko Tamaki?
Yes, yeah, I'm happy to talk with Mariko Tamaki. I got her Crush and Lobo. I got the single issues when it came out, and I actually really liked that. It was an enjoyable story. It was mainly a Crush book. It's not, Lobo's barely in it, but the art in that, I can't remember the artist, but the art was amazing. Did Did you read that, or what did you think about her detective run? Or
I read the first little bit where Dan Mora was on art, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed what I was seeing. How she was doing like this pared down Batman.
yeah,
It was a little bit more realistic, which was in line with what Tinian was doing at the time as well.
yeah. I liked her run. The Tower bit at the end, whereas the weekly one was just it was a bit slow because of weekly, but the story was okay. But I liked the story beforehand, and I liked her tie-ins with the Fear State better than most of the tie-ins because I liked Vile and I liked this. I think his name was Worth, the big boy, the big guy. Yeah, I liked them characters that she created, but then you got Tanyan who created Ghostmaker, Clown Hunter. What's her name? Molly.
Punchline.
Oh yeah, Punchline. Yeah, Miracle Molly. That's another one too. So that I think they're. Do you think that they're characters that will keep going? I know Ghostmaker. It's Ghostmaker, isn't it? Yeah, that's he's carried on a bit now too, and there's even a McFarlane toy out of him.
Do you remember Onyx?
No,
I
no.
think a lot of these characters will probably just land with a thud, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think Ghostmaker will stay around because that's a cool design. And a cool design can coast you very far. Look at Red Hood.
Yeah, exactly right. But that took years to get better and better, didn't it? I guess. Yeah. So we will move on to the next one, Darth. Things that are annoying us in DC at the moment. So obviously we're going to pretty much in line here because I'll let you go. But what is one thing at the moment in DC that's just a little bit annoying you?
The price.
Oh, the price. Yep.
So DC comics are just more expensive than Marvel comics.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe most of them are going for $5.99 at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's just too much.
Yeah.
Keep it at $3.99. I don't really care about the backups that they're giving me in like Batman and stuff. Like either give me extra story content for that story that you're telling in Batman, that main story, or just do $3.99.
Right. I 100% agree with the backup part. I mean, like, I do enjoy backups, but at the same time, because I remember Action at the moment, it just finished up, I think, was Martian Manhunter. And I'm reading the backup going, man, I want this as just a single issue. You know, I don't want this to be a backup. And Justice League Dark, I'm a big Justice League Dark fan. That was the backup for Justice League, the original for ages. But I didn't want to get it because I wasn't a fan of Bendis's run. It's Justice League, so I didn't want to buy it just for the backup. I wanted the Justice League Dark issues. So yeah, I don't get the backups. When did they start? Like, where did this come from?
Future State.
Yeah. So
yeah, Future State was the first time they put in backups in recent memory.
Yeah, I just don't get it. As I said, when I'm reading them, I don't mind them. Like there was I think, the recent Detective Comics. It was a Gotham Girl one. That was a pretty cool backup. So yeah, but again, why can't we just have
Gotham Girl,
one?
another character that landed with a thud.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I haven't heard about that character for 4 years almost. So
Tom King made that character for one arc, had her play into the next 2 arcs, and then forgot about her for like 60 issues.
I saw her pop up in Batgirls and Birds of Prey once, and that sort of it's like, oh yeah, she's still around. Yes. All right, so we'll move on to the next bit because what current series are you loving the most at the moment? And then this second part, let's just go with a recommendation of something that people might not be reading.
This is a very, very easy question.
Mm-hmm.
It's always going to be Robin.
People aren't reading. Recommendation?
Ooh, let's go with Aquaman.
Oh yeah. So you're liking Robin at the moment?
Yeah, I really enjoy the Robin series by Williamson. Like,
Right.
he had to rehab Damian Wayne after what was done with him in the recent Teen Titans series, where they turned him into like a jailer, where he ran his own jail and was killing people again.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been reading the Robin, so I am going to pick it up in trades. But everybody keeps telling me it's good, so it's kind of hard to ignore. I was going to wait till this whole what's the crossover called again?
Shadow War.
Shadow. I was going to wait till that blows over, and maybe I'll think about it. But yeah, Aquaman. I'm reading that. I love that. That's a good recommendation, and I'll put that as one of my recommendations too, because my local store guy Mark at Big City Comx in Footscray, great guy. He keeps asking me how's Aquaman and the Becoming before that, and Black Manta, because he wasn't getting it in because just people weren't buying it. He just goes, it just never sold. He goes, he didn't get it in. He goes, the only one that had it on back orders was me. And I was just like, oh, that's disappointing because, you know, it's good. And there's a story there of Aquaman. There always is.
I find it pretty interesting that you've got this character of Aquaman who had a movie and he's not selling.
I don't know if it's a stigma or people just stay away or people always think of the way they used to back in the 80s where it's just like a bit of a gimmick character, but he's an established character now. And I kind of like I have to admit, like 10 years ago, I was a bit skeptical to dive into Aquaman, but I'm glad I have now because it opens up the door to so many things. And it's not just Arthur. There's so many good side characters that have good stories. So, yeah.
Yeah, like you've got like Dolphin and Tempest and Mira.
Yeah, Volku's pretty cool. I mean, like Black Banter's always a good one. And you got the Trench. You got all these cool villains. You can make up villains under the sea because you believe it because it's deep under the sea. You can make crazy characters or whatever you want. So at the moment, my favourite series, it was Catwoman as of probably last year. But this year, I am going to go with Action Comics. I'm really loving Action Comics.
That's a really good pick. He's writing the best Superman run in a long time.
Philip Kennedy Johnson, I believe his name is. Yeah, I love it. Like I absolutely love it. The art's amazing in it, and it's Superman without powers as well. Like all he's got is his will at the moment, and it's amazing run because it's going slow, but I like that. It's telling the story. It's getting Superman to prove to these people in the War Worlds, is it?
Yep, in the War World.
Yeah, trying to get them to say like, "Oh, you don't need to be a slave to Mongol anymore," and stuff like that. He's trying to prove himself and to people that have known nothing different. So I kind of like how they're breaking it down, and there's good side characters in it, Midnighters in it. So yeah.
Hey, Superman versus slavery is a good story,
isn't it? Yep.
Like, and just if you put it on paper, just the way that Superman is as a character, putting them up against something like that, it makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. It's one of the best action or Superman runs that I can think of the top of my head in a while. So yeah, but my recommendation, I am going to go with Batgirls that people might not be reading. So we are up to issue 6. So this is the end of an arc. So now is the time to jump on if you want to. Look, it was a bit bunched together, this first arc. I think they were a little bit worried about getting cancelled. So they bunched all these villains in together. And as the arc went on, they sort of spread it out a bit more. That last issue 6, I read it last night. And it was good. Like, it was just one villain. They defeated him. It was a good end. And I liked the combination of Barbara Gordon, Cassandra Cain, and Stephanie Brown. I think they've all got something different to bring. Like Stephanie's your bubbly sort of cheerleader kind of girl who's also a bit of a badass. You've got Cassandra Cain, who's quiet, doesn't know how to deal with people, and is very reserved, also kicks ass. And then you got Barbara Gordon, who is the rock, the smartest, like the person that they can rely on, and she kicks ass too. So I think it's a great combination, and I'm excited for this next story arc, and I do recommend it. Have you been reading it, Ryan?
I haven't been reading it, but I do like that DC finally just threw in the can and were like, okay, Cassandra's not orphan anymore. Steph isn't spoiler anymore. We're just going to put them back to Batgirl. We can't just put one back as Batgirl and not the other. Otherwise, we will cause a fight. So here you go. Have both of them.
Right. There's always going to be the argument of like, oh, why can't she be Batgirl? And, they've got the bat symbol on their costume. And, just make them all Batgirl and just make them Batgirls and team them up.
But if they can bring back Stephanie Brown's old Batgirl costume, I'll be even happier.
Yeah. Well, I haven't read much of Stephanie Brown at all as much. Like when I first dived into this series, I was like, she was a little bit annoying, but now I'm just like, yeah, she's awesome. She's really awesome. So I'm enjoying her character development in this. So as I said, I can't speak for the other ones, but I heard she is a favourite because of her personality. So
pre-Flashpoint, her interactions with Damian were the best.
I bet. All right. So we'll now have a word from our sponsor.
This show is sponsored by the Comx shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. Then head over to comx.shop to pick up a variety of Australian comics from multiple creators and publishers, all for one flat postage rate. We hope you enjoy the show.
That's right, Comx. Wonderful website. Got everything you need there from great Australian artists and writers. Please go check it out. We have one flat postage rate going there. Go check it out. Just pick something and you will not be disappointed, believe me. All right. So we'll go on to my very last one, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, Ryan, and then we'll wrap things up. I'm a DC executive, and I've just come over to your place randomly and just said, pitch me an idea about something different. What have you got?
Or pitch you an idea.
The idea.
Blue Beetle in college. The Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, though.
Oh, yeah, because they haven't done much of Jaime Reyes lately, have they?
No, and plus last time he really had a book, he was in high school. So just age him up a little bit off screen and then perfect.
Exactly. I like that. And plus with a movie coming out, there's a market there.
And you can use that Spider-Man vibe as well that he's got.
Well, I read the Rebirth Blue Beetle, and it kind of did remind me of Spider-Man a little bit. Fairly similar concept. So, yeah, I agree. That's a good one.
Right. What about you? What's your idea?
My idea is kind of bouncing off another idea that I always say to people that I would really like to see. And it's an unusual one, but I remember, did you ever read the series The Terrifics?
Yes.
All right. So I would love a spin-off of Plastic Man and Metamorpho.
That's a like kooky idea, but like a someone would read it.
Buddy cop thing, like sort of heroes for hire sort of thing, You've got like Metamorpho, who's bitter and angry all the time, and then you've got Plastic Man, who's always making fun of him and stuff like that.
Yeah, you've sold me on this. I need this book.
Yeah. It's always been on my mind. I'd read the shit out of that. I would. But yeah. That's it for our first experiment of DC chat. And we'll wrap it up. Any last thoughts there on?
I'm excited to see where DC winds up after the year 2022 and where they go.
Well, we'll have to do more reviews about this Dark Crisis when it goes into it, eh?
We'll have to chat about Dark Crisis.
Definitely. All right, thank you for joining us. This is AussieVerse, and make sure you like and subscribe. And thank you very much for joining us. And drop a comment about your opinions about DC right now, and we'll get back to you, and we'll use those ideas as well for our next show. All right. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.